Alright everybody, thank you for attending TOA Canada's IR wireless webinar. What we're going to do today is go over our new IR wireless system we have and just go over a few application scenarios, the components, etc. And we'll get started very shortly. Thank you. Okay, so first up with the IR wireless overview is going to go through our system benefits, the product lineup, everything that's basically involved, and all the components that make a wireless system work, and the applications that we want to strive to put these to work. So first thing we're going to start off with would be the benefits of using IR. Infrared obviously is a little bit different than your standard wireless transmitter receivers. It obviously uses IR devices in order to send a signal back and forth. One of the benefits of this would be multi-room setup. You can basically use the same microphone inside of the same channel. A single room setup will not affect the other rooms in the same system. You could have, say, two rooms adjacent to each other, have two independent systems without having the chance of anything bleeding through to the other room. Again, we'll go back to the multi-room setup function. You can have one microphone for the two rooms and basically walk back and forth on the other side of the same channel. That same microphone will work on both systems. So that's a handy feature there, where maybe you have multiple systems with a lot more microphones than you do receivers. You can share the microphones in different rooms. It does have a two-channel operation, which allows use of more than one microphone. It is interference-free. Now, obviously, you do consider that when you're using plasma LCDs, type of material, fluorescent lights, sunlight. Those kind of do tend to get in the way of the IR signals, so please keep that in mind when you're installing them. The distance transmission rate of this unit right now currently is 65 feet for a given system with a single transmitter, and it can also be used alongside our TOA IR console. So first off, we're going to take a look at the handheld microphone. Now this unit basically has two IR emitters within the body, essentially, to allow the easy use and more transmission to be able to get through to the receivers. The reason they designed it that way is teachers tend to hold the microphones different ways. Everyone has their own preference. So just have those two emitters on there to basically allow the teacher to use it in any way they want. The lightweight body allows it to keep the hands free from tiring even during long hours. Only 0.4 pounds with the two alkaline batteries installed. And the infrared light emission intensity is adjustable at two levels, so low and high, obviously. And also, like I mentioned before, it does have two selectable channel frequencies. These units are treated with an antibacterial treatment within the body of the unit, and it employs a condenser microphone unit, so it's a little more better pickup than you would using this type of microphone than you would a condenser type microphone. Also gives you a low battery indicator, which is handy. You just tend to use them quite often. Might forget to charge them up after 3 hours. So the low battery indicator will light up on the LED on the unit itself to give you, an idea of when it's time to be charging. Can get color stickers that are with the unit, basically distinguish from one unit to another, which is an excellent handy feature. And basically, it's out of the box, ready to go. Up next would be the Necktie Microphone. Well, this one, basically, you put this over your head and hangs down. It's similar to the way you'd want a mount, say, or a clip-on a lapel type microphone. This one basically hangs down in front of the user, and it does have an adjustable neck strap, so you can adjust the height on it. It's easy to wear. It means it can be ready basically right out of the box, ready to go. It does have the same setup with the two emitters placed on the unit itself, which is adjustable at two levels. Again, it has the same two selectable channel frequencies, and it is also treated with that antibacterial treatment. It does have a condenser microphone, just like the handheld units. Pretty much the same features with a low battery indicator. And one key feature we can use with this, actually, you can use it with the built-in microphone or out the box, of course, on the unit, or with an external microphone that has a little input for that. Have the transmitter stay strapped to your belt, have a separate microphone to that. And also the external micro input level adjustment function. You can adjust the sensitivity, the gain on that, basically not allowing it to be either overdriven, not loud enough, depending on the speaker itself. And again, you also get the color stickers. You can have multiple units there based on the type of preference or job the customers support. So here we mentioned earlier about the optional microphones. You can take a look at them here. You get a tie-clip microphone. Might be a preference to some people that don't want to have the necktie version hanging down their neck. You can just put that again on the belt pack, have the tie-clip microphone like you would a lapel mic, and you're off and ready to go. You've also got a headboard microphone. That one's more for people that prefer to move around a lot more. Maybe they're turning their head a lot, addressing the crowd, maybe a lot more movement. That way, a headset microphone would be a new application for that. Now, these obviously are rechargeable, which is handy. You don't have to keep on dumping batteries. So the IR200DC is basically a 2-channel or 2-unit charger. It can charge either a handheld or the necktie version. What you see in the picture there on the right is those 2 kind of plastic inserts. That will be used, obviously, if you're using a handheld microphone. Just pop those out and put the necktie in there. So it's kind of easy use, to be great. Where you think that you may want to have a job that had 2 handhelds. This charger comes with both those adapters in there, so you plug them in right away. Or in another way of doing it, where you just pop those out and use 2 necktie type microphones. So it's very versatile. It has a rapid charge feature, so you can charge basically 2 of these microphones simultaneously in about 3 hours maximum. And it also has a charge status indicator, which is charging and charge complete. Next up is our IR tuner. This comes with a built-in 2-channel fixed frequency tuner. So basically it enables installation of the 4 infrared light receivers per unit. It's equipped with a single reception light and a knob for microphone level control, of course. And it's got your 2 line outputs. The 2 line outputs can be used basically as a mixed output, which are both frequencies A and B, or individually. It is rack mountable with your optional brackets. So see there the MD WT3 and MD WT4. This unit obviously can be expanded as well. You might think that the 64-foot distance we had originally there, and that'd be large enough, so we can add on additional distribution modules, which we'll get into a little later here. So what we have here is an IR distributor, the IR700D. This basically is equipped with 4 receiver mixing outputs and 2 distribution outputs. So basically what you'll use this for is when you have larger rooms, you need to have multiple receivers in the room. So when you use this unit essentially with the previous model and your YW series distributors, you can basically configure a system with up to 16 IR receivers. It does come rack mountable as well with the appropriate units. And essentially this allows you now to expand a room to any size you want, depending on how many amount of receivers you go with. I'll show you a few examples of this later on here in the slideshow. So the distribution modules, which are the YW1022 and the YW1024, essentially this allows you to add on your multiple units. It does employ the RG59 coax to units. So essentially, when you run this, you can run to each distributor first, your receivers, and then from there to your tuner or distribution module. So this configuration allows you either 2 or 4 receiver units, like the diagram shows below there. You see a distributor 1 channel with either 4-branch or 2-branch distributor, and then right below that, there's only a single receiver on there, and again, that handles the 2 microphones. Okay, now we're going to get into the receivers. Now we do offer multiple receivers for this unit. Again, it's all preference, job driven, depending on where you want to mount them, where you can mount them, if you want them portable, etc. We'll start off here with the wall mount unit. And just come with the wall mount brackets to basically facilitate easy installation. It can be installed into an electrical circuit box. And it does also give you the power indicator LED on the unit itself to make sure it has the power there. And this one gives you the reception area of up to 49 feet line of sight. Now, their infrared right reception angle can be adjusted, so you can angle these off depending on the room you're in. If you add multiple units, of course, you might want to angle them in different directions so you can scan that pattern. I'll show you here in the next slide. Here, I'll give you an example of a couple of jobs where, say, you have multiple units or a single unit. So factory preset out of the units, the box is about an approximate 80-degree angle. It's higher sensitivity within there. Obviously, beyond that, the reception sensitivity obviously drops down a little bit. Now you can move that either 30 degrees on either direction. When you do that, that's obviously, you see the next 2 pictures at the top there. You're angling it off. You're still covering, say, directly in front of it, but now you're covering more to one side, just like in the third picture there, you're covering more to the other side. So now you can think about it when you have multiple units in a larger room, like the bottom picture there, you pretty much cover a wide area with just 2 units. Now, if you wanted a bigger area to cover, you can maybe put 4 of those units in there and cover a whole room, a large room in that case. Again, pulling this and adding this to any system. Okay, up next we got your different type of receiver here. This is the stand or walnut receiver. This is basically a 2-in-1 unit. You can basically put these flat on the wall if you like, or on a stand. Now, stand applications would be more for, say, applications where you want it portably. Throw on a little mic stand. You have an area where you're doing a presentation, for instance, in a small auditorium. Bring a couple of these units in it. On stands, run your coax to the receiver, and then out to your distribution modules. Of course, go from there, and you're off the races essentially. It basically gives you the standard wall mounting brackets from the unit out of the box, and it's a standard equipment equipped with a power LED indicator. And the reception area on this unit is 49 feet, which is line. Now here we have is your ceiling mount receiver, the IR510R. This obviously gives you ceiling mount brackets with the units. It gives you equipped power indicator LED on the unit itself, and it gives you a radius coverage of up to 26 feet. Now, when using this unit, obviously in installing the ceilings, you probably want to go with a couple of them because most rooms, schoolrooms in that case, are probably a little bit bigger than 26-foot radius, so 2 of these would be a nice way to start off a job. And of course, this is compatible with standard microphones. So let's jump into some application examples. I mentioned earlier on the slide where you can use multiple rooms or a single microphone for 2 rooms. Essentially what you're getting here is, in the first example, are 2 rooms with 2 separate systems. Again, they're not interfering with each other. The second setup would be multiple rooms sharing the same microphone. So an ideal application for that is when you maybe are essentially on a budget, you just put a bunch of receivers in there, but you don't want to go out and buy a bunch of microphones. You can just use this system here where you want to share the microphone across multiple rooms. Now here's another example of a simple system with your IR702T tuner. Basically out of the box, you get the IR200M and IR300M separate microphone transmitters, and then out to, depending on what receiver you want to go with, either IR500R, IR510R, or the IR520R. Essentially, basically 2 receivers, 2 microphones, 1 system. There's another example which we basically touched on before. Now we're expanding the system with multiple receivers. Obviously, the more receivers you use, the larger area you'll be able to coverage. So this one here is, again, single channel. One channel you have the single receiver, which will say be assigned to IR300M, and then the second channel we have a 4-branch or 2-branch distributor with the multiple receivers. Now, if you go multiple receivers again, you're going to expand that range, most likely a larger room. That way, that system can deploy a lot more coverage, basically using a single microphone. So, as I mentioned earlier with the applications, of course, you can use this system basically with any of our TS series IR wireless system. So you can use this basically in the same area, in the same room, without having to worry about interference, etc. It's a nice little handy feature because you might run into situations where the conference system is already existing, or vice versa, and you don't have to worry basically about putting these 2 systems in the same area. Okay, so up next we got the coverage area. Now here's the wall mount unit, basically showing your horizontal and vertical direction. Again, the horizontal direction, shooting it basically straight out on the wall is 49.21 feet. Obviously, depending on the height you go with, you got the little area there that you're going to coverage on the radius is essentially basically how high you put on the wall. Ideally, wall height would be about head level. So as you can see in the second picture there, there's 49-foot throw on the unit, but you got that large area there of the coverage you're going to pick up using that microphone. All right, we'll take a look here of the ceiling type microphone. Now again, depending on the height of this unit, you'll get a different coverage pattern. Think of it as a flashlight scenario where obviously you take a flashlight, shoot that on the ground. The closer on the ground, the smaller the dispersion gets. Obviously, the higher it gets, the wider that area gets the coverage. So essentially, depending on the height of anywhere, say, from 8.2 to 14.76 feet, you'll get a different area. Take a look at the chart below using this IR510R. You'll get your different communication area radius. Anywhere, say, from 8 to approximately 10 feet, you'll get that 23-foot coverage area. Obviously, you start expanding on that, your area comes down quite a bit, obviously, because the intensity is not there. So anywhere would be safe from, say, a 20-foot coverage area at a 14.76-foot height, down or up to, a 23-foot coverage area when you go down to, say, an 8-foot no ceiling. Okay, now I mentioned obviously before when you use multiple units. So now when you think about it, you got a large room, you want to be able to get the coverage there because the teachers or whatever application you're using for, you can be walking around quite a bit. Here's two examples of a room that's 60 feet on the first one here by 40 feet, or you got a room here 40 feet by 82 feet. So again, depending on what type of receiver you put in there, you'll get the different patterns of what you want to pick up. This one here is using the wall mount unit on the wall. See the range these are actually picking up. Obviously, the bigger the room, the more these in, and you'll be able to cover the whole room without any problem. Same applies to the wall mount unit. To the wall mount and the ceiling mount unit. So with the ceiling mount unit, put them in the ceiling, you got your roughly 23-foot radius. You might have a bigger room that's, say, 32 by 60. You put two of these units in there. And then, of course, if you go with the other style units, you got 40 by, say, 40 room. You put two on the wall, fire them across, and get 3